Sam denies miming to his speeches.
We've seen in the last few months, and Build Back Better.
Priti Patel attempts mind control. And unelected bureaucrat lands job at taxpayers' expense. These are the interesting times. Hello everybody, my name's Matt Johnson and welcome to The Interesting Times, a weekly show that takes a sideways swipe at politics right here in the UK. It's a Conservative Party conference, so pleased to say I've got enough material for 3 lockdowns. Bring it on! On Tuesday, the Boris, sporting a new haircut that I'm going to call still looking for the parting, took to the podium to reassure the Tory party faithful things are tough now. But don't panic, he's in charge. And that he was sick of people being sick.
I don't know about you, but I have had more than enough of this disease that attacks not only human beings.
Pretty sure it only affects human beings. Please continue.
And I can tell you that your government is working night and day to repel this virus, and we will succeed, just as this country has seen off every alien invader for the last 1,000 years.
Strange turn of phrase. You do know that patrolling the English Channel won't keep the virus at bay, right? I mean, it's already here. You can't slap it with a £10,000 fine for failing to self-isolate. But is there another reason you mention alien invaders? I mean, if I didn't know any better, I'd say you were attempting to whip up xenophobia and racism against people attempting to cross the channel. What's next? Blaming lefty lawyers and do-gooders?
This system for being hamstrung by what the Home Secretary would doubtless and rightly call the lefty human rights lawyers and other do-gooders. Town by town, we're rooting out the county lines drugs gangs that are causing so much misery. And in that sense, our agenda is basic social justice.
So, you're a social justice warrior?
Flying in a plane will be back to normal, and
only for pilots.
Hairdressers will no longer look as though they're handling radioactive isotopes.
Only for you.
This government will build back better. And to explain what I mean by build back better, I'll use a medical metaphor. I've read a lot of nonsense recently about how my own bout of COVID has somehow robbed me of my mojo.
That's not a medical metaphor. Nurse, this man has lost his mojo. I need 2 grams of hoodoo, a shot of swagger, and we need to hook him up to the pizzazz drip.
My friends, I was too fat. And I've since lost 26 pounds. And
to be fair, Bozo, since you've come to power, the whole country has lost pounds. But he wasn't the only one to present his case like a regional manager geeing up the corporate sales team at the Christmas do before the disco starts, and frankly having about as much success. Home Secretary Priti Patel also had a bit of a dig against their leading competitors. Oh, sorry, I meant Her Majesty's opposition.
Conservatives, we do not measure the depth of our compassion in 280 characters on Twitter, but in the actions we take and the choices we make. This Conservative government will continue to stand up for the hard-working, law-abiding majority who play by the rules and take action against the minority who do not.
Bravo! Well said! I mean, slightly undermined by the fact that your boss won an election last year on a 3-word slogan, which turned out to be a lie, and also that he won a referendum on a single sentence, which also turned out to be a lie, and that Boris, chief strategist, didn't follow the rules but kept his job, and that Boris has been taken to court 3 times during his year as Prime Minister, losing twice, and he's broken international law and failed to look into Russian interference in UK politics. And you're actually stood in front of a 3-word slogan. But apart from that, some good points. Is she gone? Don't get into a staring competition with that woman. The government is getting a spokesperson for daily briefings. A new individual is called Allegra Stratton, who interestingly was named after Lord Byron's illegitimate offspring that died as a child of typhus or malaria. So, what else do we know about the Prime Minister's new press secretary? Well, she's had a varied background in the press, working for the likes of The Times, The Independent, New Statesman, and The Guardian, as well as time spent in different roles with both the BBC and ITV. And indeed has worked in the current government since April 2020 as Rishi Sunak's communications strategist. Really? Communications strategist? And this is the guy suggesting that musicians and actors should retrain because their jobs aren't viable? Anyway, what will she be expected to do? Well, we actually have a clip taken from when she was on Newsnight reviewing Damien McBride's book, who was a former civil servant and political advisor to Gordon Brown, a role not totally unlike the one she's landed for the Blobbies. So how does she see her new job?
Allegra's here. What's in the book?
These 2 pages that I've just read have a series of assassinations that he admits himself. He took down John Reed, he took down Ivan Lewis, he took down Charles Clarke. I could go on. It is one of the most honest and gruesome accounts of being a spin doctor that I do actually think one of the lasting implications could actually be that it does shock quite a few viewers / readers, because it exposes how people do politics at the top of Westminster. Except he goes through exactly how you hack into a government account, exactly how you hack into a chancellor's account, exactly how you place a story. So it's quite a good handbook for aspiring political spin doctors.
Okay, that's horrifying, but be honest. If this was on Netflix, you'd be binge watching it, wouldn't you? And speaking of horrifying subplots, Brexit. Yeah, that's still a thing, but panic not. Remember, we had a whole year to thrash out a new deal. And we've still got until the 15th of October, which is Thursday. And that's when the EU summit is. There are still a few sticking points, mainly around the EU, expecting the UK to align itself to the EU on workers' rights and environmental protections. Bloody EU and their standards! And also the EU expecting the UK to comply with the state aid law that the EU has, which is when governments are stopped from giving cash to certain businesses, which gives them an unfair advantage over others. And also to stop them handing contracts to friends and colleagues. Speaking of which... that must mean that the Downing Street Bank is open. Now, since the national and indeed local lockdowns across the country, people are becoming more entrepreneurial, setting up Zoom meetings at home and, despite the government's best hopes, working from home, retraining, or in some cases, watching their company grow from strength to strength. One such individual is plucky Steve Deccan, who is the director at P14 Medical Limited. Steve was watching his company actually lose money in 2019, but he stuck with it and is now going to take on the role full-time, thanks to 2 large contracts, one back in May for £120 million, and one just been given for £156 million, both for manufacturing PPE. From this Conservative government. It's going so well, Stephen has been able to quit his other job, that of being a Conservative councillor. Now, I know what you're thinking, and yes, Dido Harding has been given the track and trace job and is married to a Conservative MP, and a £120 million contract was handed out to PPE MedPro, which was set up in May of this year by an associate of a Tory peer, all without tender. And of course, James Frayne. James Frayne? You know, James Frayne used to work with Dominic Cummings from Michael Gove. Had a bullying case brought against them. Yeah, that James Frayne, who writes for the Telegraph and the Mail, where he regularly attacks liberal elites and praises Johnson and Cummings. James Frayne, yes. Well, anyway, £840,000 of government money was given to Public First, a PR company, and one of their founding partners is somebody called Rachel Wolfe. Oh, and James Frayne. Yes, see that, James Frayne. Rachel Wolfe, by the way, didn't have anything to do with the Conservative Party. I mean, she did work on their 2019 general election manifesto, but yeah, if you don't count that, which, let's be honest, most of the Tories don't, then she had nothing to do with the Conservative Party. So yes, Public First, the PR company, was paid to look at the public's response on the government's handling of Brexit. They are now looking at the government's handling of coronavirus, which I would say pretty well about the same. Oh, and finally, bar staff have protested the earlier closures in pubs and bars north of the border during the rise in coronavirus cases. Yeah, dumping ice on the streets in Scotland in October. They won't expect that. What's next? The Welsh pouring mud at the steps of Synair Cymru? Or that the oligarchs pour money on the steps of 10 Downing Street? Actually, yes, that last one already happened, so it? Yes. Oh, and the government has announced that because of the rising coronavirus cases across the country, there are likely to be tougher restrictions due to the totally unprecedented, and nobody could see this coming, factor of having autumn follow summer. Yes, the Deputy Chief of Public Health England, Professor Jonathan Van Tam, he's the man, said that the seasons were against us. Okay, but what were we doing while the seasons were for us? Apart from partying hard at the beach. Hooray! This summer will never end! Woohoo! Still, he has said that we are better prepared to face this than this time last year, as we are having better testing and better ways of fighting the virus. So stand strong, Britain, because this time next year we'll be back to normal. Now, how do I know this? I heard it from the donkey's mouth.
We will ensure that next time we meet, it will be face to face and cheek by jowl.
So that's it for another week. Thank you all so much for watching. And if you are enjoying these vids, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications bell. And I'll see you all next Monday. Take care.
Good morning, conference.
Yes, Boris. Yes.
To save this country from socialism.
Yes, good point.
And we will succeed, just as this country has seen off every alien invader for the last 1,000 years.
Fucking right there.
By what the Home Secretary would doubtless and rightly call the lefty human rights lawyers and other do-gooders.
Right, Boris, you are right.
I say frankly to those separatist Scottish nationalists who would like this country to be distracted and divided.
That's true.
We have confidence in our values and our diplomacy, and be in no doubt that they are secretly scheming to overturn Brexit and take us back into the EU.
Absolutely fucking EU.
We believe in our fantastic armed services as one of the greatest exports that this country has. They, the Labour Party,
bloody shits.
Embracing every person with love and respect, whatever their race or creed or gender or orientation. That is the Britain we can build.
Yeah, it's a problem. Socialists, migrants, lawyers, people that do good, people that believe in human rights, Scottish separatists, the EU and Labour. So let's have a bit of togetherness.